We have Gopal Jain now joining us, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court of India, joining us on the phone line now. And for a stock-specific analysis, we have Dharmesh, Kant, head of research at Chola Securities with us. Gentlemen, both of you, thanks very much for joining us. Mr. Jain, if I can start with you, sir. Our colleague, of course, detailing what is likely to be part of, the bill. So this is a death knell in that sense for the online gaming industry, real money gaming industry. That is my question number one. I mean, would you concur? And second, straight off, are these likely to be challenged? I mean, is there a provision in law? Is there, states who are going to come up and say, well, are there going to be legal challenges to this? How do you see it evolving, Mr. Jain?
Well, I think the intent of the bill is very clear. It is wide sweeping and obviously will have a huge impact on the sector because the framework is heavy-handed and tightens it across the spectrum with all stakeholders being accountable. Point two, it is a bill which will be introduced, and as we've seen some recent trends, it may perhaps also be sent to one of the committees of Parliament for greater examination, scrutiny, consideration, debate, consultation, because sometimes one has to also take into account wider implications on investor sentiment, jobs, innovation, the skills that gamers have brought, all of which has also been positively commented upon by, key senior functionaries as well. And three, there are some principles which the courts have already laid down over a period of time, including the doctrine of proportionality, and all that can also be examined threadbare. And to the second part of your question, perhaps it's too premature at this stage. I think the first thing is to see in what shape the bill finally comes out as an act. So I think at the moment, the focus should be on the consultation, the debate, the discussion which will come once the bill is presented in Parliament.
Mr. Jain, morning, sir. Obviously, there's a lot of investment and money also at stake, and some of the investors are, big-ticket investors, private equity firms, foreign firms as well, which have all invested in this sector. Would you expect anything? I mean, I don't know if they can do anything in an anticipatory way at all, because this is a new law that's being formulated in India. So do they have any other legal remedy at this juncture as the bill moves through Parliament to present their point of view or their concerns?
I think there is no legal remedy because it's still a bill. And as you know, bill has to go through both houses of Parliament. So I think the first port of call is obviously to try and put out data points which would suggest the impact on some of the parameters and criteria that you outlined. And two, to ask for greater consultation, examination and scrutiny through standing committees of Parliament, etc., where these things are debated at greater length, including, sustainability of some of the provisions in the light of judicial principles and constitutional principles. And three, as you said, is there any overlap with the states? And four, like I always say, the law must have a clear goal, as this seems to have. Question is this the only path of achieving it, or is there any other less intrusive way of achieving it? So I think at this moment, the spotlight should be on building discussion and consultation around it. And you remember it happened both with the Telecom Bill as well with the Data Protection Act and the rules. There was a lot of widespread consultation and discussion. So I think that's really where the focus should be at the moment.
Right. No, Mr. Jain, you think this is going to undergo, it's going to be tabled in Parliament, right? And then this will, from the time that it is tabled, you think this will undergo changes?
No, the whole purpose of when you introduce a bill is to have a debate and discussion on its journey towards becoming an act. And you've seen whether it's the Finance Act or so many other things. There are always some tweaks or changes which come in the course of parliamentary debate, consultation, or if it's referred to a standing committee. These are all the forums, both in Parliament and the committees of Parliament, where serious discussions take place on new laws.
My only ask that because, we've had actually very little discussion on you're right. Sometimes on the finance bill, etc. But many debate, discussion, etc. has not really been something we've seen, right? Many of these bills, etc., have been passed through and have been approved with very little discussion and debate. So we'll see what happens here. And I think it'll be important to see, as you said, later on if there are going to be any challenges. Mr. Jain, this also comes at a time when the Supreme Court was about to clarify its stance, right? I mean, so this kind of preempts that. Any thoughts there?
That was on a GST related issue. This is on regulating the entire sector. Obviously, both relate to the industry, but in terms of subject matter, they're quite different.
Absolutely. On that, Mr. Jain, and before I ask you the question, because there was serious money at stake there as well. I mean, claims in excess of 20,000 crores made by the centre. I just want to read out the preamble of the bill, and I mean, it's being premised on in national security. There is also talk about public morality and harm, and the preamble says proliferation of online money gaming and offering monetary returns against user deposits has led to serious social, financial, psychological and public health harm, particularly among young individuals. So that's how the bill reads. On that issue of the Supreme Court matter, sir, which pertains to the taxman's demands on GST, or there was a whole thing on GST. Now, would that litigation continue? What happens? Because this will perhaps be prospective in nature. It should not be retrospective in nature. So, do those demands stand on GST?
Yes, obviously that is the subject matter of a decision pending in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will decide on the issues which have been raised before it. This is a bill on yet to become a law, and as you said, it will take shape from the day it is gazetted and notified. So at the moment, at two different spheres, of course, they relate to the same online gaming industry.
All right, Mr. Jain, we'll leave it there, and we'll love to have you back once we have details of the bill when it is tabled at the Parliament today. We'll watch out for that and, of course, report and get details when that happens. Dharmesh, Kant is with us. Dharmesh, you've been listening into the entire discussion. Just before I come to you, Nazara has clarified, I guess, to exchanges, basically saying that their exposure to real money gaming in the first quarter is basically zero, nothing, no contribution. They have this investment in poker bazi, which is about 800 crores, which I think is the exposure that they have. But they don't own majority. They don't own over 50% in that business. So any thoughts here, Dharmesh, in terms of listed companies? Any implications you see?
Yeah, good morning, Prashant. First thing, many, very happy returns of the day to you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
This is definitely a big negative. I think, Prashant, if you look at the way the things are unfolding, the intention of the government is very clear. Be it online gaming or derivative markets in our parlance. So everywhere they are very clear that young people are losing money because of speculative kind of an activities, and they want to curb it whichever way it is happening. So here, this, if it pulls through, as you rightly put out at the start of the show, that it's maybe a death knell, and that is what it looks like. So gaming will take a backseat, and this is not only that. Even if the GST 2.0, the talk has been around 40% kind of a tax as a sin tax on gaming as well, online gaming, which may not be involving money transactions. So that's another area of concern which is there, and should be pointed out a way back about the GST concern. So if you put all things into place, it's not a positive thing. Najara, I mean, the promoter has been clarifying about it, and I think he's scheduled to be there on your show. But they do have a significant stake in Pokerbaji, which was a growing business, and advertisement and through celebrities and all, they have been doing fairly well. And it was a progressing business out there. So that will take at least around 25 to 30% from the valuation of Najara Technologies if this is to be stopped completely. Market is already forward looking. I think this entire space has come into a bit of our trouble. Now what you can earn is only through a subscription model, through gaming, various games which you are offering on your platform. And that is not very lucrative if you are just for a time pass kind of an activity, you're doing that. So I think definitely the stocks will be under pressure today.
All right. Hi, Dharmesh. Good morning. Good to see you. And, the stock market enthusiasts will say we are not the only ones that are coming under regulations, with regard to these expiry days and various other regulations. Now, the other one as well, they're getting hit harder.